But I think young people see straight through it. I think they just
Yeah.
want authentic, meaningful ministry and music and video and podcast and
Yeah.
news sources. And so I think it comes back to our relationship with Jesus. I think you could practice religion, you could follow every rule in the book, you could follow the Ten Commandments, you could repent every second of the day, but in the end, I think it's our relationship with Jesus. It's how we live our life. It's the way we talk to people. It's the things we look at. It's the things we say. It's the decisions we make.
Yeah.
I think that really impacts. I think it impacts music in my world because I think it's like relationships are going to impact music no matter what. Earthly relationships or heavenly relationships.
Yeah.
So I think it's really big. But I think just sticking to religion's a thing.
Yeah.
But I think it goes farther beyond that. It's not just following this book. It's a constant posture of our heart.
Happy Thanksgiving. Hey y'all, my name is Jay-Z Hogan, and I just want to take a few seconds of your time away from the video. I'll let you get right back to it in just a second, but I want to give you a brief overview of the big picture here. I started Tethered Faith because a very real God came and picked me up and radically saved me, and I'll never be the same, and I want everyone to come and see and know how good and true God is. Our team at Tethered Faith right now is really small, but our vision is massive. Essentially, we believe that theology and doctrine are really important, but way too many people settle for a love of that theology and of that religion, and they actually fall short of getting a personal intimacy with God. If that's true, then the battle today isn't about fighting and yelling over who has all the right answers or the best theology. No. It's about having the discernment to focus on the right questions in the first place. Hearts aren't changed by an argument, but they are changed by an encounter with God. What's more is that so many people have tragically fallen into the trap of cultural Christianity, and they think that they're following Jesus, but they haven't actually made God Lord of their lives. They haven't surrendered anything to Him. They're still king of their lives. That's my story, at least. So we here at Tethered Faith have spent months cultivating and writing material for an intentional and dynamic discipleship program that can be, number one, the tip of the spear of evangelism among a generation that is just poised for revival and at the same time being dragged down by the lies of the enemy more than ever before. And two, it can be the single best toolbox for Jesus followers of all ages and all spiritual maturities. If you want to know what I mean by toolbox, go check out our website at tetheredfaith.com. But anyways, we need your help. We've spent a lot of time on the substance of our content, but our delivery, meaning the lights, cameras, video editing, sound engineering, web design, etc., it needs a lot of work. Money helps, but what's way more helpful is your talents and time. If you're interested in contributing to our mission with whatever skills or resources you have, please consider joining our team or becoming a strategic ministry partner by emailing info@tetheredfaith.com. I'll say one more thing before I let you get back to the video. We are not entertainment, very intentionally not entertainment. I believe that media can be either a vice that we just mindlessly consume or a spark, like a catalyst that stirs up new curiosity and thoughtfulness inside of us. We have that choice ever presently before us. You have that choice in front of you right now. Instead of allowing content to distract us from God, our aim here is to transform it into the very tool that tethers you to Him. Now, enjoy the rest of this video, this testimony interview with one of our strategic ministry partners, Spenser Olson. Thanks.
What's going on, y'all? My name is Blake, and I'm the host of the Life Before Christ podcast, and I got a special guest with me today. Why don't you introduce yourself, man?
You guys, I'm Spenser Olson, and I'm really happy to be here. I love these type of podcasts. They've been super beneficial in my life, and I love being able to have short-form content and long-form content and all different matters. And so, I'm really blessed to be able to be here. I'm grateful for the opportunity and for stepping out in faith and starting this. So super proud of you, bro.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So I want to hear a little bit about your testimony and everything, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Dallas, Texas. I've been super musical my whole life, as long as I can remember. Probably started learning piano around 3 years old, and went from there. I was like a super bad piano student because like my piano teachers would all come. I had 3 of them that quit on me because they would be trying to teach me like Twinkle Twinkle Little Stars, and I was just already learning stuff by ear. So I felt like I was going 10 steps backwards. So like I had a Russian piano teacher that completely quit on me, but super fun time. So 3 years old learning piano. I've been super creative my whole life. I did the whole traditional school route. Went to a super intense all-boys school for 1st through 3rd grade.
Really?
Yeah, so probably not the best environment for a creative. But so I went to that school until 3rd grade, left midway through 3rd grade, went to a Montessori school, which is probably a way better move. So if anybody knows anything about Montessori schools, it's like super creative, like do your own thing, learn at your own pace. You kind of show up and there's no rules. There's
you remember that Ant Farm show on Disney Channel?
Exactly.
That type of vibe?
It's something like that. Yeah. So like you show up every day and the teacher's like observing what you're doing and then you're kind of creating your own path. So I loved that. And then went back there 4th grade, first day. This will actually play really well into my testimony of how my encounter with Jesus in 4th grade actually. But so first day of 4th grade, I showed up to school, did the whole thing. My mom dropped me off. I showed up, got to the classroom, and something's just off. I hate it. Something's wrong. Everybody knows what they're doing, and I have no idea what I'm doing. So I'm like, I got to get out of here. Yeah. So what do? I go to the nurse's office. And I don't know what I told her, but I told her something that I thought would get me out of school that day. I thought my mom would be there, so she calls her, and she's like, Spencer's having a hard time. I can give him some Tylenol and send it back to class, observe, see if he does well. And I'm hearing this because it's like on like speakerphone or whatever, and I'm like, that's not going to work. So I start making noises. I fall on the ground. I do anything I can. Basically, I'm faking a heart attack at this point. And she's like, I'm not sure what's going on with Spencer, but I think you should just come pick him up. So I'm like, let's do it. So that was my last and first day of 4th grade was that day. I never went back to that school. I was homeschooled from that point on. Traditional homeschool my mom taught me. It was great. But that summer I was forced into going to church camp at the church I was at. And so that whole like hating school type element transitioned into me hating camps. So like I would do everything I could my whole life to get out of these things. And so
was it like the original like camps? With
it
the
was
cabins?
like military, like the dorms
all
were
one room.
All the guys like split up into 2 dorms, and it was metal bunk beds. So not a fun time. I remember we got there. It's called Camp Wow. I think it's in Oklahoma, and because I was living in Texas at the time, and so we got there. They sat us down. They told us all the ground rules. They're like, "This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna have a great time. It's gonna be." The presence of God's going to be here, like unlike any other place you're going to be, but you can't do this. So they go through like a list of 5 things you can't do. And they're like, these 3, if you do it, you're out. So I'm like, okay, these 3 things, I can go home. So what are the 3 rules? I don't know what they were. I know one of them was you can't sneak into the girls' dorm. So I'm like, well, that's what I'm going to do. So I go out, I make a threat like, yo, I'm going to sneak into the girls' dorm and I'm going home. I'm not staying. And somehow word got out about that. And so we're sitting out, we're having small groups, and the youth pastor at the time, the children's pastor, who then actually ends up being my student pastor for the next 4 years when I'm leading student worship teams later on. But, he rolls up in the golf cart, and he's got the megaphone. He calls my name. I got to walk the walk of shame over there.
Oh, man.
He has the whole talk. You can't do this. I'm crying. I'm like, I just want to go home. I just want to see my mom. And but there was that night that I had an encounter with Jesus at the worship service there. Life's been different ever since. Then we moved into a different church. They had a school. 5th grade, I got really plugged into music. It was really on my own. So I was 11 at the time. I was trying to do the route of like pop star mode. I was recording music in my room, and I got a talent agent, and we got signed up for like a talent competition in New York, and went up there, did that. So I had to record a single for it. I had to record a cover for it. So I wrote my first original at the time, and it was after I'd accepted Jesus. It's called Golden World. Super mature song for an 11-year-old, but I've got references to everything in that song, but it was basically like what heaven could look like, and what we're experiencing now is not all there is.
Come on,
So
Cody Collins, let's go.
yeah, so it was like super cool, super poppy song. I think it's like 2 chords and it's super easy. But I took that song to New York, songwriting, placed like 3rd out of a bunch of like 150 adults. I was the only guy under 18 that did songwriting. There was a bunch of kids that were doing modeling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went the songwriting route. So got back, kept doing that for 5th grade, started doing You Now, which is kind of where I got my first following. And so it was like pre-Vine, basically. So I was streaming, had a bunch of fangirls on there.
Yeah.
And I was doing that. That's when my youth pastor in 6th grade saw something in me, and he said, you should come lead worship at the kids' Wednesday nights. So I started doing karaoke nights, basically.
Yeah.
I got 2 girl background singers and the multi-track videos with the lyrics and trying to hype up a bunch of 5th graders that didn't want to be there. But from then I started leading worship teams at that church. I couldn't even drive, and I was leading platforms of 7,000 people. So grateful for the experience.
Yeah.
But learned a ton, and I have nothing bad to say about any of that time.
Yeah.
But then we moved from Dallas as a family to Birmingham, Alabama in 2018.
Yeah.
And I think when I got here, I wasn't plugged in with the local church.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say it was burnout, because I think that word is thrown around a lot in the church world.
Yeah.
But I think it was just, I was tired of it being all about me, because I think being so young that, like, you know, all the old people, like the people there will be like, oh, it's a great performance, you know, and you get all this. And I've always been one that you can ask my family. It's like, this is not a performance. This is bigger than me.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of tired of it. And so I just took a break. And about a year ago, started back thinking, like, what can I do with the talents that I've been given, the experiences that I've had, to build others, to build the kingdom of God, to glorify Him. And I released a song, You're the One. And it was kind of random. Everybody's texting me like, what in the world is this? They're shocked. Yeah. And then Studio 16 was birthed out of that. I just figured, you know, I've always had a passion for watching other people grow and using my abilities and my resources just to grow and impact others. So I think it's a perfect opportunity, and I'm really excited about it. But
yeah, tell me a little bit more about Studio 16.
Yeah, so Studio 16 is it's a record label. It's a recording studio. It's a creative group. With the goal just to kind of create music that inspires people, that spreads hope, that speaks life, that is doing the opposite of what modern pop music does these days.
Okay.
And we do it in all ways possible.
Yeah, so I know you were talking about how the music industry at a young age, what would you say that was like really like for you and that experience and all that?
The music industry is an interesting place.
Yeah.
It's an interesting place for a young person, especially. I think there's definitely a lot of young people that are taken advantage of in that industry just because you're just not mature.
Yeah.
And but you know, growing in that, I think I learned a lot about it, and I got to see a lot of it from my perspective, and I'm happy to kind of be on the outside of it, and I wasn't drug in. I didn't have those experiences that a lot of people I know have had.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's an interesting world for young people. It's an interesting world for Christians, just because it's a really dark world. And that's part of what Studio 16 is here to do, is I really want to be able to impact that just by the life that I live. Yeah. Not necessarily in your face, but just by my lifestyle and my relationship with Jesus. I think it can have a bigger impact on the music industry than others.
Yeah. So I know like the music industry, it comes with like the good and the bad things.
Yeah.
What would you say outweighs more the good or the bad? Because I know.
I think it just depends on how you use it, right?
Yeah.
You know, like music is so influential.
Yeah.
It's ingrained on young people's minds, especially. Music, it hits that different side of your brain that talking and reading doesn't. So, I mean, every young person now has every Drake song memorized by heart, right? So why not write lyrics with cool beats that they could then have ingrained on their hearts and their minds? Yeah. You know, that they'll enjoy listening to the same way. Yeah. People aren't even really listening to the lyrics in the end. They're just memorizing them, and they don't even know what they're memorizing. So
that's facts.
You know, that's kind of my passion.
Yeah, I know we talked about the other day when it came to like, and I thought it was crazy. It blew my mind with it. About just a lot of like secular artists when it comes to like Drake and Travis Scott and all them. Yeah. And like the message, like we don't realize that it's actually not life-giving for real. Like when I mean life-giving, I mean like dark sometimes, you know?
It's speaking death into life, for sure. And they do it purposefully. They do it because they know that they can get you down to this low enough level that you're going to keep listening, and you're not going to stop listening, and they treat it like a drug.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that, like, you can't listen to that stuff.
No, yeah.
You know, like, it's great music, and there's still people, and I think we're still there to love them.
Yeah.
But it's just like you have to be careful. You have to know where you stand and know your beliefs.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you know, words are powerful. You know,
Words
God
are super
spoke
powerful.
all the earth into existence except us. You know, He handmade us because, I mean, that's, you know, He loves us and everything.
For sure.
So, yeah, I mean, I definitely think that. I know, I mean, just like the day and time we are when it comes to like secular music and everything. For example, you got like Travis Scott and the incident at the concert, and then you got like Sam Smith, you got Lil Nas X, like
just like completely outspoken, like they're not hiding it. Yeah. They're against everything we believe in.
I mean, like that Doja Cat video that was recently, I was like, my Lord. Yeah. But I know like one of the things is I commend you because you're trying to like do it, and just tell me if I'm wrong, a trailblazing path, not even just the Christian industry, but also, would you say, in the secular industry too?
Sure. Yeah, because inherently there's nothing wrong with the music they're releasing. It's really just the heart behind the music, which is big on my heart, is the heart posture behind what you're writing. I think the position of your heart, the relationships that you have are going to always impact the lyrics that you're writing. Yeah. And so there's nothing wrong with taking that music, which is really, really well produced music. It's really well polished music. It sounds great. It's fun to listen to. You can listen to it anywhere, and putting some life-giving lyrics to it. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So I know you talked about like being at an early age in the church. Yeah. And I know you talked about it like changed your view on everything. I wanted to like hear a little bit more on that and just diving into that and everything.
For sure. Yeah, it's definitely a unique perspective being like 15 years old in a church of 45,000 members. Yeah. You know, you get to see a lot of how churches work, which I'm super grateful for. You get to see the ins and outs. You know, I was 15. I was doing all the planning center. It's like the scheduling platform for churches. I was doing that for all the student ministry. Yeah. And but then I was going to school with them too for a little bit. So it's like, you know, the awkward relationship of like, I'm like now your pastor and I'm like the cafeteria with you. But yeah, it taught me a lot about the music industry. Churches like that are super influential in Christian music. And so yeah, a lot of great relationships that I couldn't have had otherwise.
Would you say there was a lot of pressure on you at the time?
Yeah, it was immense amount of pressure. Yeah. And a lot of people like to like spin that as like, that's where the burnout comes from, or too much pressure for the young age. But yeah, I mean, you're not even fully mature, so it's definitely a lot of pressure. Yeah. That was definitely part of what pushed me into just kind of not doing music, honestly, for 3 years. Yeah. I wanted to be a Navy SEAL. That was my life plan. When I was like 17 years old, I was gonna join the Navy, and I don't know, probably something about like their grit and determination just like interests me, because I've always been super driven. Yeah. So it's like, but yeah, that was until Studio 16, until You're the One in like 2021, I was gonna be a Navy SEAL. So yeah, a lot of people don't know that.
Big David Goggins vibes. He's gonna carry the boat.
Exactly, man.
Yeah, man. And
every day, 4:30 a.m.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I saw this meme a while back, and it was like Elon Musk, and he was like, it was a joke about like he was on Mars and everything. Yeah. And he was like, we're the first one on Mars, and all of a sudden you hear the Rocky music, and you just see David Goggins shirtless in the back running.
David Goggins, he's probably running right now.
He probably is.
He's probably running right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember that story of like how he like broke both of his like legs and shins or whatever.
Still finished.
And duct tape it. I was like, Mamba mentality.
Insane. Right there. Yeah, we need to be like that.
Yeah, we need to have that drive with the
Our determination needs to be like that. Yes.
Yeah, Big Paul vibes. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Like going from John Wick to like just the best, like one of the best people ever. Yeah. You know. Yeah. So I want to also talk about, you were talking about when it came to the church industry, and then when it came to like burnout and everything. I would like your opinion on burnout, because like people have different perspectives.
It's a big thing. It's like I said, it's thrown around a lot in churches. But I think it comes back to your heart. I think if your heart's in the right place, I don't think burnout exists. I think burnout exists as much as it does in any situation. I think everything gets monotonous at some point. But that's honestly, it's still back to the posture of your heart. It's how authentic is this? Because like our walk with Jesus is not gonna get monotonous. It's how we're designed and created to live. So I think burnout is real, But I don't think it's something that's like the end all be all. I think you can walk past it. I think you can push past it. I think it's just taking the time that you need and just posturing your heart right.
Yeah, because I definitely understand that. For me, when me and Naya were engaged and everything, I was serving in a lot. I was serving in students. So that was motion. That was like extracurricular when it came to like Sundays, whether if it was going to lunch with them or like coaching the basketball league they do at Woodlawn. And then also just like starting Highlands College. And I remember like it was all great and everything, but I remember I was like, what am I passionate about? And when I found out that I was doing something that I wasn't passionate about more, I mean, I burnt out and like physically, like I remember my dad, he kept on telling me, he was like, you can't burn the candle on both ends. And I was like, I'm good. I'm young.
You think you could push forever.
Oh yeah. And then it takes a toll on you physically. And I remember I was just like sick for 3 weeks. Doctors didn't know why and everything. And I remember I feel like it was like the Lord putting me in that posture of where like I had to rest. I can't remember the exact scripture in the Bible where it was when the guy was wrestling with the angel and everything, and he dislocated his hip. I really felt like at that time that's what the Lord had to do.
And that's just the season He had you in.
And it was,
I think you'll hit physical burnout before you'll hit actual like emotional and like soulful burnout. I think physical burnout's a real thing for sure.
And I think that's the I think like for some people I know, especially right now, they're going through the same thing, but then they're like still going at it too. And I'm like, bro, you gotta slow down.
You gotta know when to rest.
I literally had that conversation yesterday because he was like really sick and everything, and he's like working like 2 jobs, also serving on Sundays and all that. And he was like, I'm feeling good, and I'm like, that's great, but at the same time, you have to take care of your body. You have to take care. Because that's what helps you live. You know what I'm saying?
Talk about that a lot with like touring artists, like the rituals and the workout plans and the diet plans and the sleeping patterns that they have to go on because they're sleeping during the day and. It's intense. It's intense physical stuff.
So like, you brought that up just like about like physical, and then tour. Like, what was that like? You being on tour and everything and all that.
I never did a full tour, so I didn't have to experience all that. But traveling at a young age is different. I think it also always comes back to a young age because like. People either take you really seriously or they don't take you seriously at all. So it's like this like weird balance of, because I was doing that for a while. I was traveling, I was doing youth conferences. My first album I actually recorded in 2016. I was living in Dallas and I recorded it here in Hamilton, Alabama, of all places.
Really?
At the Ramp, which is a great ministry in Hamilton, Alabama. And so I spent a week here doing that. But I was traveling for their kids' ramp. I came over every year and did that, loved it. I was doing churches, really a lot of churches in Alabama, a lot of church camps in Alabama, Mississippi and Tennessee. So that was when I was 16 years old.
I think it's funny how you were trying to get out of a church camp and then you were singing at church camp.
Right? Yeah, that's a good testimony.
For real. Like, I remember when I was, at the time, I didn't know what the Lord was really wanting in my life and everything. Like, I had just stopped drinking, smoking, all that. And I remember I was at the point, where I was like, Lord, wherever you send me, wherever you want me to do, that's fine. And then he was like, I want you to be a pastor. I was like, nah.
Anywhere else but that, right?
Nah. I think I misheard that. I was like, I need a sign. And then he gave me a sign. And I was like, I think I need another sign.
We've all been there.
Yeah, man. And it was definitely one of those things where it wasn't something I was expecting. Because I grew up Southern Baptist Church.
Same.
Nobody raised their hands. Hands were on the pew, and if you lifted your hands, you were going to hell.
It was big. I was at the Southern Baptist Church that was trying not to be, so it was this delicate balance of what do you do?
Oh no, it was if you were really in the spirit, you gripped the front pew and you really
tap
hard.
A little bit.
Yes, the little tap.
Little tap.
So I grew up in that church where just being honest, the pastor it was the Detroit Pistons. They were consistently going through coaches pastors and everything. So I never really had one pastor that poured in. So I had a very bad view. And then I mean, and then like you have those like, and I remember Pastor Chris talked about it, church politics.
Yep.
Like, and I thought that was really crazy when you were.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, when you were at when you were at your church or
Yeah.
any other churches, did you see that a lot?
Yeah, I mean, for real, that's a big thing. And as a young guy in that, as a 15, 16-year-old, having to deal with that, and I'm just trying to lead worship. I was just trying to, I loved it. I had a passion for it at the time, and it was. And then having to deal with the politics on the same side, like church budgeting and stuff like that, whole nother world. But yeah, it's real. It's church politics within the leadership of the churches, and it's church politics within the congregation of the church.
Seriously.
Like how loud is the worship going to be, or what songs we're playing today. It's all real. Yeah.
I always felt bad for the person that did the slides, bro.
Yes.
Because if you
don't mess that up.
like I remember, we would have a pastor, and he would literally just go off script all the time. So like the dude's going on YouVersion trying to find he's trying to find the scripture, like
what is he saying?
Where is it? Because he already knows the 80-year-old people are gonna come up there and be like, hey, you're dropping the ball, bro.
That's always been so fun, like spontaneous worship moments, and then like nobody knows what's happening for like 5 minutes, and then after we've sang it 10 or 12 times, they got it and they got the lyrics on the screen, and now it's a new song and it's great. So many songs have been birthed from that, but it's always fun.
Yeah, and then you see the people, they're like on the ground like, yes Lord, and then it's perfect. And then you got some people over there, they're like, yes, Lord. I don't know what they're saying. But yes, Lord.
Yes, I agree.
I remember when I was in youth, it was crazy. They're like, yeah, we're going to switch it up. And then we just had this like 2000s rock band come in.
Yep.
And it was like all like 40 and 50-year-olds who like apparently like kind of went into the music industry but didn't do well.
They didn't really make it. Yeah. They're just in it now a little bit.
Oh, yeah. And then, oh, man, it was bad.
When was this?
It was like, I think it was like 2010, 2009. Okay. I think it was like 2009, and I remember, man, they were like going hard though, like electric guitar, drums.
Oh yeah.
Like, and I'll never forget, they were like kind of like skillets, and sometimes they do like that screaming.
Oh, you have no idea what they're saying.
Oh yeah. So some of the older people heard that we had a guest like group coming.
Yep.
And so they're like sitting up in the balcony. And they just hear the screaming, and it was so bad. The next Sunday, it was like the Pharisees all lined up and everything.
Yep.
And they were ringing the pastors out. I'll never forget that.
Oh yeah.
And they're just sitting up just like this. It's that shame on you.
Yeah.
And I swear they'd be the first ones to be like, hey, you missed a note up there. Oh, come on, you come up and sing and everything.
You dropped the drumstick.
Yeah. You should have had an extra drumstick.
Always something. It doesn't matter if you're in the church, doesn't matter if you're touring artists in the secular world, there's always going to be somebody picking at you.
For real.
Yeah.
I know a guy, he used to drum for, he sung like Christian country singer. Okay. He did that song with Toby Mac. I think it was like Cornerstone or whatever. Something like that.
No idea.
But he was telling me about like they would sometimes have people that would come to their shows like after
and just tell them everything they did wrong.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
And like like you see with big artists, like for example, you got Motion, or you got the I think it's the Vid conference at Transformation, and you got VooCon, all that, and like you're like, oh, it's good and all that, and you wonder, is there that one person that's going in the back?
There's somebody emailing them.
That's
what's happening. Yeah.
Be like, hey Jesse.
Yeah.
You see that?
I didn't really like that song,
Oh yeah. I just wasn't feeling it,
Yeah, it didn't hit me right. Yeah.
Jeremy was rapping. I don't know about that.
Yeah, too far. Yeah.
No, that was funny. I remember. I think that was at Motion Conference when he just started spitting up there. I was like, bro, that's crazy. No, it was really crazy.
It was really good.
And I know one of the big things that me and Jay-Z have been talking about lately is when it comes to relationship versus religion.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah, so I kind of wanted to get your opinion on that, especially since like you've been at a young age, been to multiple churches and everything.
Yeah, I got to see a lot of different.
Yeah, you got a lot of different avenues. And
worship styles or church leadership or whatever. But I think it's more than the church. I think it's really like our generation. I think like one of the points I make a lot is authenticity. That's really big on my heart right now. I think that's really big on Gen Z and Gen Alpha's hearts. Really is the search for authenticity. When they see something that's just too polished and too good, they see straight through it. Because for the past 5 years, we've gotten stuff pretty nailed down. We're pretty good at everything we're doing as a church, as a world, really. Technology, everything's where it's at. It's hard to imagine it getting much better, although I think it will, but
holographic stuff.
Whatever, AI, crazy stuff.
Holographic Jesus just walking.
Who knows? We don't even need pastors anymore. We just, have like a robot talk it all. But I think young people see straight through it. I think they just want authentic, meaningful ministry and music and video and podcast and news sources. And so I think it comes back to our relationship with Jesus. I think you could practice religion. You could follow every rule in the book. You could follow the 10 Commandments. You could repent every second of the day. But in the end, I think it's our relationship with Jesus. It's how we live our life. It's the way we talk to people. It's the things we look at. It's the things we say. It's the decisions we make. I think that really impacts. I think it impacts music in my world because I think it's like relationships are going to impact music no matter what. Earthly relationships or heavenly relationships. So I think it's really big. But I think just sticking to religion's a thing. But I think it goes farther beyond that. It's not just following this book. It's a constant posture of our heart.
And like I've noticed just like, so I remember my dad loved playing Christian music in the car and everything. And I'll never forget, like, you had like DC Talk, you had Newsboys and all that. And I remember just like as a kid, I was like, ugh, I don't know about that. And then as the generation, like you're talking about, as generations have like moved forward and everything, you started seeing like Christian music like actually become popular.
We've got guys like Chandler Moore that are just doing incredible things. In Maverick City and winning Grammys with worship music. Like, never would have thought that would happen. Never happened before. We had some gospel artists that would win Grammys. But to be able to have that exposure and that eyes on something of the Lord is amazing.
It's definitely amazing. And I think like and also like Christian rap, for example, like you used to have like a very few, and like at the time, like Lecrae was like the Drake of.
And how do you like change that? Like that misconception of Christian rap being so cringy. Because like forever it has been, and I think we're doing a really good job of like making some really good music that's not. And it's just making enough of it and getting it in people's ears and getting it out there, and people will realize like this is cool stuff.
And I think like you got also like I've noticed like secular artists like also doing secular music, but at the same time also doing Christian music. One of the big ones I've noticed lately is Forrest Frank from Surfaces. Naya put me on Surfaces. We were I think we were at Gulf Shores, and she just did like beach playlists, and they were on there, and it was like I think it was the Heaven Falls song, and I was like, oh man, they're actually dope, and I just started following them.
Forrest is doing amazing things. He just released Go Tell It, that new single of his, and all of his stuff is just super catchy. It's super easy to listen to. You can listen to it anytime. Top down convertible at the beach, and it sounds good.
I know, and like the biggest thing that's with him is I've been noticing is he started off like making his own songs, and now he's like taking the like original hymns that everybody thought that was just like and then it's like let me do a little bit of Soulja Boy on it, it's just Soul Flow, and then just like and it's actually good,
and it sounds good. There's nothing cringy about it.
No, not at all. And it's weird too, because like I remember when just like in church back when I was a kid, there was sometimes where they would pull out the hymn books. And that was a real one. Especially when you
that school I went to first to third grade, that's what we did. We went to chapel twice a week and we sang hymns out of the hymn book. So like
and then like when you opened it and then you just had that old book smell, just like from
everybody's touched it, everybody
kind of like that the basement at the retreat and everything. That just like we need like 20,000 diffusers in here.
Let's get some new hymn books.
Let's get some. We can invest in something new.
For sure. Like get a QR code or something. Let's just do it.
The QR code is crazy. They didn't know what the QR code. I remember we so it was crazy when I was going to the Southern Baptist Church and everything. Their youth group, there was like, at first it was youth group, and then we got this new guy in, and then he was like, oh, we're gonna change
the name.
Change the name. Cool. And he called it the Dog Pound.
The Dog Pound.
And
all right.
Man, it is, I can't remember what the acronym meant, but like they picked a room and then they just like transformed it. They put a little mini goal on the wall.
Let's go.
And then like had the black lights all in there.
Yep.
And just
the black lights is real.
Just nothing but black lights on.
Yes.
And then they had like a it was kind of, they didn't like do a graffiti mural, but like they just like had some.
We had that, all the walls were graffitied, Yeah,
they got the Sanford Bulldogs logo and then just made it their own on the wall.
Nice.
Which was hilarious. And they had you know how they have the wooden crosses and everything?
Yeah.
And I remember every Wednesday they would do the same thing. They'd be like, whatever you're struggling with in school, put it on the cross. And I'm like, dog, I'm 8 years old. I'm struggling with. I mean, and you know, like one time we had a leader, and he was like, "I'm putting my smoke pack on there and all that." We were like, "Yeah," and then we had a kid, and he took his Xbox controller, and he's like, "I'm putting the Xbox controller on there."
Yes.
No, yeah, and we're like, "Yeah," and then I remember, man, as a kid in like youth group, oh my gosh, I did stupid stuff. I was you could talk to my parents, and I just did a lot of stupid stuff as a kid. One time, there was this place called Froggy's back in the day.
Okay.
And it was it was a genius marketing idea.
Yeah.
So they literally bought a warehouse, and then they just got a bunch of inflatables and filled it up in the warehouse. And there would be tons of kids that would come. It was like in Coleman, Alabama.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, you know those big slides, the big inflatable slides.
Yeah.
So
probably birthday parties at that all the time.
Yeah. And I remember I climbed up on the top, and I was like, I'm gonna do a front flip and stick it. And I flipped and I landed right, and I was so excited, but I forgot when you land, it sinks down, but the amount of air that's in there is gonna cause it to go back up. And so I landed, and I just watched my legs.
Yep.
And I just had black eyes for basketball pictures, school pictures.
You're what waivers were made for.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, and for real, another thing I did when I was a kid, I remember my ear was itching in class, and so I was like, I can't reach it. So I got a pencil grippy. Do you remember the pencil grippies that on the pencils?
Yep.
I stuck it in my ear, and it broke off. And then I was freaking out. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna tell my parents.
Yeah.
And so I remember, I think it was conviction at a young age. And I was sitting there in the bed. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna tell my parents.
You just left it in your ear?
Oh yeah, and then I left it in my ear all day, and then it got to 11 o'clock at night, and I was like, I need to tell my parents. My dad's home now and everything. And I told them, I was like, and they're like, let me see, and they got the flashlight in there, and we were in the hospital till 3 a.m. because it wasn't an emergency, right? So we're sitting in the emergency room.
You're not dying. You're just
Yeah, so they're just bringing all the kids. There's just one kid in a wheelchair that's passed out, and then
he gets to go first.
Yeah, he gets to go first. I'm like, what the crap? I've been waiting.
Yeah.
I signed up on the list.
Gotta hate emergency rooms.
Yeah.
They're designed to take forever. So.
Yeah, seriously. Well, for me, growing up, I was consistently in the hospital. So I was diagnosed with epilepsy when I was 9, 8 years old. Mm-hmm. I think that's really what brought on the rebellious lifestyle. Yeah. But bro, it was bad because I would be having seizures as a kid, and I just started getting to know the paramedics and everything.
Oh wow!
And so I'd be like, "What's up, Brett?" And he's like, "Yeah, you had a seizure." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, that's fine."
Good to see you again.
Oh yeah, but it was great though, cause I got to be out of school so many times, bro.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
I would have loved that.
And then my mom was like, "How are you feeling?" I was like, "I don't know if I can do it today, Mama."
Yeah, no more.
It's been 3 days. I'm still trying to get it together.
Yeah,
one more day.
2 days later.
Yeah, Friday they had Friday they would have pizza day. So if I ever had it on a Sunday night or a Monday, I would stick out until Friday, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to school. Yeah, we did a lot more PE than that. Yeah, they kind of catch the drift and everything.
Hilarious.
You talked about
that's right on something I would do.
No, that's what I was about to say. Yeah. So I would my mom would consistently get calls because I'd be like, I got a headache, Mama, and and I remember at first it was like, yeah, I'll get you.
Yeah.
And then the nurse, she's like, I'm just seeing a consistent pattern with your son.
Yeah, he's here a little too often.
Yeah. And she was like, I think we need to have a talk with him. And so a talk with me getting a whooping in the nurse's office.
That's what my sister used to do. She used to go and get her teeth pulled at the nurse's office so she could skip class. So she'd come home every day from school and lost a tooth. So she never had to lose a tooth naturally. The nurse pulled every one of her teeth.
That's crazy.
Yeah, a crazy story.
That's big brain, right?
It is big brain, right?
Yeah,
Nothing
like you're already losing it.
And then she's just like, oh, it hurts a little bit, and you get an ice pack and wait a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Takes an hour off of school every day, so that's great.
Oh no, yeah, man. Yes. What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for tuning in to the podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe and comment below and hit that notification bell so that way you can see more episodes coming out. Thank you so much and have a blessed day.
That was perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. That was absolutely perfect.